My name is Dennis Roberts, and I'm a Freemason. I've been a Freemason since 2004. I was originally initiated at McKinley Lodge in Cherryville, Indiana. I was passed to a fellow craft there and raised to a sublime degree of a Master Mason in Grant 85 in Williamstown, Kentucky. What induced me to seek out Freemasonry was a favorable opinion of many of the people that have been Masons before me. I really like history. I've read a lot of history. You read about the founders of this country and people that have done great things all throughout the world, and a lot of them were Freemasons. There's a lot of legends. There's a lot of myth. There's a lot of things that make up our story, and I eventually wanted to see what it was about this fraternity that helped make those men the people that they were. Freemasonry itself is a lot of what I expected it to be. However, our application and the way that we conduct Freemasonry nowadays has not exactly lived up to our lofty premise. What I enjoy most about Freemasonry is the brotherhood. It's the most simple, most basic concept of our fraternity. It's something that is needed in our society now more than it's been needed in many generations past, but it's also something that some of us and sometimes we overlook. But to me, that is the best part and the most important part of this great fraternity. The thing I like least about Freemasonry is it's something that happens in our society as a whole, and it's the divisiveness. We have groups that they're running down a path for trying to look at esoteric knowledge. We have groups that are more about a social aspect. We have groups that just meet together because it seems to be all that they know. And the fact is, what we're missing most is that brotherhood. It is that bond. And I think all these parts have a place in Freemasonry, but we really need to circle back to the founding principle of the fraternity, which is brotherhood, and then we can build the rest from there. I have many interests outside of Freemasonry. I really like history. I like to read a lot. I like to try to learn where the world that we live in came from the politics of our countries to how everybody's interacted in the past. It's uniquely amusing to me. I like learning. I will read books about physics, mathematics, to simple things about how to fix a car. My interests are varied, and also that I like to hunt, I like to fish, I like to do normal things like that. But pretty much just about anything that catches my interest becomes a hobby. If I could change anything about Freemasonry, it would be perception. Both the perception of the people in the fraternity and those on the outside. To a lot of people, both in and out of the fraternity, we are just a group of people that like to bestow silly titles and honors on each other, or we're a group that gets together to do strange things in the darkness, or that we're all bent on trying to reenact legends from thousands of years ago, or to even some of the worst things that you hear on the internet. But the perception is wrong. Freemasonry is and will always be about taking men and uniting them together as brothers. And I think that as a fraternity, if we step back and we focus more on that instead of some of the more superfluous things that we do, our fraternity will start to grow stronger again. As far as things that I would change in my lodge, I happen to be a plural member of many lodges. Each and every lodge has its own strengths, its own weaknesses, its own characteristics. But one thing that most lodges don't do is strongly communicate with each other. So that would be something that I would change with all of them, is that meeting with your lodge is great, but taking Freemasonry outside the doors and coming together as a larger whole more often would be a beneficial thing for our fraternity. I've developed many friendships throughout Freemasonry, and I can honestly say that it's not just friendships. I've developed brotherhood with people within the fraternity, and people of all different backgrounds, people that are as different from me as night is to day. And I found that no matter who the person is, or no matter their age or their experience, you can always learn something from people in the lodge. And if you quietly listen and learn, you will get to make many friends, and you'll get to make people that soon move beyond being a friend into being your brother. Technology will, or I should better say, needs to take over many functions in our lodge. The way we communicate, in most lodges nowadays, we send regular mail back and forth, and we're actually at a point to where the generations that are coming available to Freemasonry now don't understand the concept of mail. They understand an email, they understand a text. They don't get mail. It's not something that they're used to. Just like at one time our lodges used telegraphs to communicate with each other, and they eventually died off. In order for us to engage the next generations, we have to be able to reach them in a way that they are able to be reached. You can't, the same old tried and true methods don't work. Like, every lodge needs to have an email. Every lodge needs to have some kind of social presence. Every lodge needs to get their message out. If they don't, if we continue to fight technology, then we're going to continue to have the same results that we have. There's also a bit of a caveat to that. We're blessed in CDR. We have a lot of different technological things that we can do since we've worked on the building, and those won't work everywhere because there's not going to always be somebody that wants to learn how to do that, or somebody that will be there that can control that. But the basics, communication, outreach, things of that nature, technology's going to have to take over, and we're going to have to welcome it. I like to tell people that I became a Freemason. I didn't become an Amish. And this reticence to use technology is kind of holding us back drastically. What keeps me interested in Freemasonry is its inherent value. Again, as I've said before, this world needs brotherhood now more than it's ever needed. And even though our fraternity is struggling, sometimes there's great value in saving things that are about to be washed into the dustbin of history. And I think that the legacies of the men who came before us that built this particular fraternity, their voices are crying out and screaming, hey, we need to save this. We need this to continue. And so that's what keeps me interested. If I can do something to help anyone else find what I found within this fraternity, I believe that that's a worthwhile use of energy. What I would say to a struggling lodge, or a lodge that's having difficulty determining their future, Unfortunately, I would have to say that some lodges may have waited too long to start addressing the issue. The point to worry about the boat sinking is when you notice the hole, not when the top of the boat's going under the water. And we unfortunately have a lot of that. But another thing about Freemasonry is hope. Gentlemen, you have something in your lodges that humanity and mankind has needed since time immemorial. And again, I say that they need it more now than ever, but it's not going to be an easy fight. We've allowed ourselves to be relegated to the dustbin of history for years. We've not been out in our communities. We've not reached the generations that came behind us. And the only way that you're going to change your lodge is to reach outside of it. It's to practice your Freemasonry outside. It's to be proud of what you have and the heritage that this organization has. You hear a lot of times that people say Freemasonry is a private endeavor, and the way you approach it is private, but you should, if you learn anything from the tenets of this organization, you should learn that Freemasonry should have an outward effect on you, and that's what you should be showing people to bring them in. I understand we have a lot of lodges that are made up of guys that have been Masons for a long time, and the energy is not there. Like I said, in my interest, I'm extremely interested in physics. In any system, any closed system, entropy usually wins. You have to get people in. I'm not one to say that you need to recruit, but if we were all living our lives as Freemasonry, we would be literally just by our actions recruiting. But what I can say is you have to determine if you have the strength to fight. If you have the strength and numbers to fight, then you need to start fighting. But the fact is, in any closed system, eventually entropy wins, and that's when basically all the energy balances out and nothing moves. And that's where we're at with a lot of these lodges. So there's no more energy in the closed system. You have to bring new energy in. You have to bring new life in. Should we do business on any degree or any other degree than Master Mason? I believe that we should do all of our business to where even our most junior members can come, except for business that requires them to be of a higher degree. So for your general business, the general stuff we handle in most lodge meetings, every one of those people are a member of your lodge. And by you saying, well, you're just an EA, you're not able to come to the business meeting, you kind of disadvantage them because they are not represented in that. And you have to remember our heritage. The Boston Tea Party was no taxation without representation, and they were mostly Masons that went out there and dumped tea in the harbor. So we have these guys that join, but we say, well, you can't be a part of the business meeting. And there's nothing secret about any of our business. I've heard the objections. I've heard guys say that we've always done it under the Master Mason, and I would say, please check your history, because for most of Freemasonry's history, we didn't even have a Master Mason degree. So the general day-to-day business should be open to all of your members. The other thing is, look at it from a different perspective. A lot of lodges, the only thing they do at their meetings is have business. And their EAs can't come and their fellow crafts can't come, so they're exhausted and not allowed to come. And then they finally make that step to become a Master Mason. And the big shocking secret that they've been held from all this year, or all those years, or all those months, however long it took them, is what the electric rate is, or what the water rate is. It leads to a lot of dissatisfaction. That's not a secret that somebody wants to work really hard to learn. And it shouldn't be used as such. So I think that our business, like I said, unless it's like initiating or passing somebody of a different degree. Everything should be done to where our members can see it. Transparency is the only way that we're going to open up to newer members, or that we're going to open up to the world. We've been so closed. Look at the rumors and stuff that swirl about us. And it's all because we're not transparent. And there's nothing that says, other than an item that we put in our Constitution, there's nothing that says that a man that joins your lodge should not be allowed to hear what it costs to run a lodge until he's a master mason. Why Freemasonry? As humans, we all owe a debt to the societies that we belong to be the best that we can be. So fraternity-based and helping men make better choices and live better lives is just a natural thing that we should do. Also, in a world as divided as ours, that's divided by politics and religion and different ideologies, it's great to have a place to where you can come, to where you can leave those outside the door and find common ground with your fellow man.